my humble pranams to the delegates, the organizer, and the entire Ayurveda community. I will share my presentation. Okay, can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
So I would like to dedicate this presentation to our beloved Guruji. Dr. Krishna Kumarji and AVP welcome us and care us as a family from 2016. Ayurveda IU Emergency Care Project was initiated and guided by him. It was during Prakashni 2017 intense training in Ayurveda. We can experience a little what could be a Gurukulam, and from this date we work on Ayurveda and emergency, how we can find a bridge. Dr. Krishna Kumarji and Dr. Gulal challenged me. How can I share my experience in training and in emergency care with the students and the practitioners of Ayurveda? I joined AVP Research Foundation to share this project with them, and they support this project from the beginning. So with Dr. Sumit Kumar, Dr. Arun, Sujit, we start to really think about what is the need for the Ayurveda community to handle emergency situation. So it was a study on 2019 and 2020, about 900 participants, now just partial results, but what we can see is almost 50% of the participants were exposed to common emergency, like external bleeding, loss of consciousness, delivery, acute dyspnea, fracture, dislocation, acute infectious disease, and less exposed to heart attack and psychiatric emergency. The sense of confidence was not so high, 30%, and only 16% in heart attack. Almost 100% of the participants declare to need more training in emergency care, and from them only 20% had the previous training in emergency. And what was an eye-opening for me, it was 90% declare Ayurveda can treat or be part of the treatment of emergency situation. From this, we start to look at any Vedya master, everyone who treat and can share the knowledge about treating emergency with Ayurveda. And even I discovered the name Atyayika. So from this we were thinking, oh, one side there is the syllabus of MBBS, modern or allopathic medicine, but Ayurveda has a lot of things to be implement the training and to be shared with the new generation of Ayurvedic practitioners. And so we will start from the basic life support. In one side, it's needed for everyone. Now, if you have a clinic or an hospital, everyone has to be trained by BLS. But these are just common sense and mechanical practice. There is no allopathic drug, there is no, so we can try to look this training with the Ayurveda vision, the basic principles, and in the Shastra, look at what's happened inside the prana, Vyanavayu, how to treat it, and to really build an Ayurveda training on this part, specific part. So the Ayurvedic doctor will have the basic life support and the Ayurveda life support, and they can really explain in their science what they are doing. Important, because in emergency, if you have to switch your mind to practice some treatment in a different medical system, it's difficult, and for me, I think it decreases the confidence you have in your science. So from this, we will slowly try to develop advanced Ayurveda.
Dr. Maël. Dr. Maël, yeah. Please unmute yourself and speak.
Hello? Yes, sorry. Yes, I am audible.
Yeah, you're audible now. In between, there was, you just dropped.
Yes, sorry. So I share again. Sorry for that. So I was in the advanced Ayurvedic training, who will take many years to be developed, with a team of experts in Ayurveda, a task force, and to know which training in BMS, which training in MD, which training need to be trained under a guru like Shisha under guru with RIV. So all this is in the future. Now we will focus on the first phase. So for this project, we need cooperation and co-creation for efficient and well-designed between Vedas and Ayurvedic institutions from different parts of India, trainers and researchers. So the cooperation between trainers and researchers from allopathy, Ayurveda, social sciences and humanity, and between India and other countries. At that time of the project, it was the beginning of the COVID. So we were locked down. We cannot go on to develop this training. And we contact different Vedas and masters who practice and handle emergency situation. I was the quality of this web conference in June, and so many Vedas, almost 20 Vedas from all over India, Jamnagar, Dhaka, Tamil Nadu, and even the secretary of the Ministry of AYUSH, Dr. Rajesh Koteji, to conclude the session. And when I realized the potential of Ayurveda to treat emergency, I was thinking, oh, we have to go with this project until the first training, and it will give a lot of answer even in the classic emergency department, where we have limitation with allopathy. Dr. Abdul Kalam asking everyone to be trained in each family. So I was looking 10 lakhs of MBBS doctor, almost 8 lakhs of AYUSH doctor. But emergency, everyone in the society think emergency is just part of allopathic system. I think we can start to train all the AYUSH doctor to really a good level. I think the GP allopathic doctor, even in emergency, even in Europe, has not a very huge level in emergency. So after that, I came back to France in July, and I was blocked for 6 months there. Not possible to combat because of the peak epidemic in India. And I met a group of researchers in social science and humanities. And this again gave me a different vision of how we can train with different medical systems. So it's a group newly created, the International Cooperative University. They work on how to share knowledge, research experiences, and research training through research. It's a third place, and they work within the framework of critical public health, based on the concept of One Health. So they are ready to share with a group of Indian researchers how to really prevent the domination of one system against another. Because what we can see now in India, a lot of PG, they do study with Western science, with evidence-based medicine. But it's very difficult for a system like Ayurveda to be validated by another system. And this is new for me. A few months ago, I discovered this part of the science, and I think we really need the cooperation of social science to help us to really understand the domination and how to recognize different knowledge with different systems. The director of this group of research told me, oh, the concept of cognitive justice came from India. One scientist from there developed the terminology cognitive justice. So to develop this bilateral training, we need cooperation between biomedicine and Ayurveda, but in the playground, a very safe playground, because most of the time evidence-based medicine is there to judge the validity of the science, but evidence-based medicine is more a biomedicine tool, and Ayurveda need to really develop and bring back the tools they have. Cognitive justice will be the third part and can really work on linguistic challenges, translation, commentaries, how to cooperate without domination, to really ensure mutual understanding, respect and acceptation between two medical systems. It will be a team and a moderator team. Now what we see is evidence-based medicine is the regulator. So we need to bring back evidence-based medicine to biomedicine side. Is the vision of the biomedicine, like any human is studied with as an object, we can quantify everything. Ayurveda, for me, has another dimension. And Dr. Krishna Kumarji used practice-based evidence. And there is a lot of allied science who can be used to see the validity of Ayurveda, to show the validity of Ayurveda, and to develop Ayurvedic research methodology. So this third point, very new for me too. I still learn and read a lot of books on this, and can really be helpful. And we have to really evaluate. We want cooperation or integration, and what is the meaning of each word. So Shiv Vishwanathan is the scientist, Indian scientist, who created this concept, cognitive justice.
democracy as a theory of difference has to recognize not the universal validity of science, but the plural availability of knowledges, that no form of knowledge can be forcibly museumized, and that memory and innovation intrinsically go together.
Thank you to my wife to read this for you. And another scientist, Boaventura de Sousa Santos from Portugal, who wrote a book, The End of the Cognitive Empire. He really described what is epistemicide. So he talked about epistemology of the North, like the Western science. They have very strict and good rules in their world, but there is a lot of knowledges who need different approach. And so they bring epistemology of the South, not the geographical South, but to have a different look on knowledges who need different approach, global. So for him, the global justice can only come about through an epistemological shift that guarantees cognitive justice.
Cognitive justice recognizes the right of different forms of knowledge to coexist, but adds that this plurality needs to go beyond tolerance or liberalism to an active recognition of the need of diversity. It demands recognition of knowledges not only as methods, but as a way of life. In this sense, knowledge is not something to be abstracted from a culture as a life form. It is connected to livelihood, a life cycle, a lifestyle. It determines life chances. The dialogue of the science of East and West need no longer be conducted across the old dichotomies of tradition and modernity, of development and underdevelopment. Nor can we survive on the categories the West provides us in terms of democracy, property or rights. We have to invent words in English to say what the West cannot.
So at this point, my thoughts were a little disturbed, and I was thinking, oh, we need to create a model, tripod model or cooperative model for transdisciplinary research and training, where we have not just two medical systems, because most of the time we have conflict. We can see this nowadays, even for COVID, the crisis, COVID, even at that time, no one has the same right to treat the patient. And now, in December, we had the surgical conflict. So we need some entity, like a team, to really moderate this cooperation. So the next step will be to work on this, and a very good article from Sujata, what could integrative medicine mean? And it's true, we have to take care about integrative when the rules are not really safe for the two medical systems. So this project is associated with AYUSH Ministry from January 2020, but we need more resource persons, trainers, master researchers, logistic, material, legal support, financial support, safe bridge with allopathy to really develop, and I will contact this researcher Shiv Vishwanathan soon to develop the cognitive justice approach and internal cooperation. These are the references. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Dr. Maël, for really taking us into a different world, from your world of emergency medicine to cognitive justice. It allowed us to really think about Ayurveda very, very fresh. In the time available, I just want to ask you one comment and then one question. That the comment that when you look at One Health, etc., incidentally, the term that you used is something that the Govt of India has also been speaking of now, as their vision for India. So, a pluralistic One Health is part of the recently announced policy. Now, I have just two questions. When you look at emergency medicine, did you define what you mean by emergency medicine? Because you talked about heart attack to bleeding, external bleeding. So have you defined that, number one? Number two, okay, if you could answer that. The second question is, you're also an expert in disaster management. So have you looked at the role of Ayurveda post-disaster in rehabilitation, particularly that of the stress and the mind? Because if you take COVID, for example, today, the mind is very, very seriously affected in COVID patients and also the general public. So what do you see the role of Ayurveda in disaster management? Two questions.
Sure.
And we are running against time, so if you can be crisp.
I will be short. So for the emergency situation, for me it's any situation where the patient feels an emergency to be treated. So, the real emergency, even in an emergency department, are only 3%, where there is a vital issue.
Yes.
So, for me, even the vital issue can be treated by some Vedyas now. I heard this, I'm very surprised. But, most of the time in emergency department, it's a sense of emergency.
Okay.
One fever, they come for one fever now in the emergency department. Some fever can engage the vital,
Yes,
but not all.
okay.
The second
Yes.
part, so the management of AYUSH community for the disaster, like for the COVID, I think a lot of things can be done. And I was very surprised how in Kerala specifically, they really developed even Duma, even giving the free tablet and the Kashayam. And I think public health has to be joined, has to integrate, to cooperate with Ayurveda, really.